Nation Podcast, Wednesday, August 18th. I know the date this time. And coming at you live from Chicago. Both of us in our parents' house this time. So that's pretty cool. But myself, Jake Hassan, joined by Kevin Lapka as always. And boy, do we have stuff to talk about today.
Yes.
Tevin Jenkins, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy, so on, so forth. Preseason game 2, preseason game 1. Met 9. Pretty sure it's not 9. But here we are. We're back. Bears Nation Podcast. And we're just going to get right into it. Investing in a second-round offensive lineman who you know has back problems seems like a bad idea. It doesn't seem like a formula for success, if I do say so myself.
But here's the funny thing, Jake. This is
the
only time.
I don't think it's that funny.
Oh, it's funny because this is the only time I've heard some people bring this up is now. There was never conversation about investing into the second round with back injuries. There was a little bit of conversation, but not as much as there is now. Now that you see he's out, it's, what the heck are we doing? Whereas the past 4 months after he was drafted is great pick. We got him. He's great value there in the second round. Why is that conversation only happening now?
Because we found out that they knew about the back injury prior to drafting him. Because we learned that this isn't a recent development.
We knew he had the back injury. We knew he had the back injury in college. He missed the last 3 games of his career his college season.
We know he had a back injury in college. We didn't know it was still going on. We didn't know that the Bears knew. Like, the Bears knew when they evaluated him, and they chose to keep that information to themselves up until this point.
That's true.
Me and you, obviously, and it sounds like the rest of the Bears media, people who cover the Bears, were not aware that the Bears had found in their evaluations, okay, this thing's still bugging him. Okay, it's probably still going to bug him into the season. So now here we are, and we're just finding this out, and that's why I'm saying it seems like a bad idea. Because it seemed awesome. But now we're realizing why Tevin Jenkins slid into the second round when he had all those first round grades. Now we're finding out why you were able to get him in the second rounds because of this back injury, and apparently in these evaluations, it was showing like, okay, yeah, this is going to be an issue. And the Bears said, all right, well, we're going to start him at left tackle week 1. See you later, Charles Leno. We're going to put all our eggs in this Tevin Jenkins basket despite his back injury. And now here we are a month away from the season, and it looks like, and you don't know how long, if at all, you're going to have him this season.
If at all, it might be correct. They said it was very vague, as everything is, but it was, we hope to have him back at some point this season. Now, I'm not a doctor. I would imagine it's at least past halfway through the season. I don't know exactly what the surgery was, but the thing I texted you this the moment it happened when you said you're going to throw yourself through a wood chipper because you were so angry at that. That was hilarious.
That wasn't even angry. That was straight up sadness. That was straight up sadness because I feel so bad because I do not want Justin Fields anywhere near the turf, the grass. I do not want him anywhere near that field.
Stop it.
Now, whoever is at quarterback, regardless if it's Justin Fields or Andy Dalton, or God forbid in a doomsday scenario, Nick Foles, they're going to get murdered out there.
No, they're not.
They're going to get their head, especially week 1. It's bad.
Jake.
That's why throw me through the wood chipper because that – I'd rather take that fate over whatever meets the Bears starting quarterback week 1.
See, this is why I think you're overreacting, though, because
overreact that doesn't sound like it.
That
doesn't sound right.
Yes, Tevin Jenkins getting hurt is a problem, but if you still evaluate the offensive line as a whole, I'm going to make a comparison to last year. Okay, the sky is falling down in everyone's mind when it comes to the offensive line. It's terrible. It's horrible. Everybody's out. Everybody's injured. We suck. It's the worst in the league. No quarterback is going to have success. We should hold Justin Fields out because of it. Last year, we were looking at the offensive line in the final 5 games of the year of Charles Leno at left tackle, who would you say is an above average player? No. Cody Whitehair at left guard, above average player, yes. Sam Mustipher at center at the time, probably below average to average player. Alex Bars at right guard at the time, probably below average to average player. And then Rashad Coward at right tackle, or Jermaine Fetty and Rashad Coward at times, but mostly Jermaine Fetty in those final 5 games. Let's look at it now. Even if Tevin Jenkins isn't the starting left tackle, you have Jason Peters. Is he 39 years old? Yes. Is he probably still capable if he's not injured? Yes, he had a great year in 2019, dealt with some injuries in 2020. He's older, but he's a guy who can get it done. He's been in the league for a very long time. He was a very talented player, one of the best in the league at his position in his prime. I still think he can be serviceable enough there at left tackle if it is him over Elijah Washington, which I think it will be, or Wilkinson, which I think it will be. That's an upgrade. Is that an upgrade over Charles Leno at left tackle? I'd say it is. I'd say it is at this given moment. If it's Jason Peters, I could say, you at least can't say it's a downgrade. You at least can't say it's a downgrade. Let's give it that.
I don't know if you can't say that because Charles Leno, was going to be out there. Like you knew you could count on him to be out there. Like that's availability is one of the best traits you can have in the NFL, especially when it comes to offensive line. Jason Peters has not been that. He has, he was an above average player, but that was 2 years ago. And so that there's a reason Peters was available as long as he was. There's like Kevin, NFL teams aren't stupid. There's a reason you could sign Jason Peters on August, 16th, 15th, whatever it was. Like there's a reason for that. Like, do I think he can bring you something? Yes. But the only thing is what are you going to get out of him? 5 games, 6 games, 3 games? Like we have no idea how available he's going to be. And then, all right, now you're looking at Wilkinson and Ifedi and a revolving door and around we go. And you're still screwed. And you have the same situation as last year where there's no running room. The quarterback has no time to pass because the offensive line's getting eaten alive. Until those last, 6 games or whatever.
Exactly. But that's exactly where my point was going to go. So you can't say that's really a downgrade there. It may be a downgrade from availability standpoint, from a pure talent standpoint at left tackle at this given moment, August 18th. That's not a downgrade. Okay. Then you look at you go back to left guard. It's Cody Whitehair still, which is a Pro Bowl talented player, I would say. I think we can agree on that. It's Sam Mustipher, who's now a more developed player. He's done it now. He's more capable. That's an upgrade, I would say, at center, simply because he's getting a full training camp. He's had more time. He's had the experience. I'd say it's an upgrade at center. James Daniels is back at right guard. Praise the Lord. That's an upgrade. That he practiced today. That's an upgrade. And then right tackle, I mean, I have every reason to believe Jermaine Ifedi could be a better player this year. He wasn't that bad last year, Jake. Was he average? Yes, but that's maybe all you need. And the reason why I bring this up is that offensive line last year helped the offense to 4 straight games of 30-plus points for the first time in what felt like 30 freaking years with Mitch Trubisky at the helm. If you really think about that. And then we talked about the offensive line now. It has upgrades across the line. It has more experience across the line. And James Daniels went out today in the press conference and said, it takes me 5 minutes to learn about a new tackle standing next to me, which I thought was very interesting to hear. I'm not that worried. Am I depressed Tevin Jenkins is out? Yes. But looking at the line as a whole, I'm not going to overreact as much to this as other people are. Are you? I mean, when you think about it like that, I know the defense that they played during that time period was not great, but still, it's the NFL.
Well, also, the thing with me is your best option was Jason Peters, who was 39 years old, was on the waiver wire, which you would lead to believe is for a reason. And the thing is also too, you invested so much, and I wouldn't say so much, but you invested legitimate assets into Tevin Jenkins. You traded up into the second round. You made him your top second round pick. You mortgaged more of your future for Tevin Jenkins. And then you put all your eggs in this basket as the future of the offensive line, at the future of a premium position at the NFL, where it is very hard to get even a 5-year starter or a 7-year starter like Charles Leno. That's very hard to do. And you gave up assets to get Jenkins, and back injuries, especially when you're that big, that's scary because that's very scary. So that's part of the reason I am depressed about this injury news, because he's younger than me, probably your age, maybe even younger than you. And he's already got back issues, and he's infinitely larger than he's larger than you and I put together. It's concerning, especially at such a premium position where you were counting on having him for hopefully the next 10 years. And now that's very up in the air year 1 into this. And like I said, the thing is, the reason we were so excited when you drafted Tevin Jenkins was, all right, you have Justin Fields in round 1. You have Tevin Jenkins in round 2. These are 2 premium positions, young guys you're going to have under control forever, and they're going to have long, successful NFL careers forever. The next 10 years, Tevin Jenkins is going to be protecting Justin Fields' blindside. All right, now that all of a sudden in August has turned into old man Peters is out there, literally. And I'm sure he's serviceable, fine. Like you said, it's not a downgrade at best, but at best it's a lateral move. So yes, getting James Daniels back is better. Another year of experience for Sam Mustipher and Alex Bars is better. Mm-hmm. It's just, and having Juan Castillo there helps, but it's just the the ripple effect, I guess, is what worries me more as far as just the future of this and how this affects your plan down the road as well. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, it is worrisome, and people should be nervous about that. But let's not say he's Kevin White still. Like, we still can't put him under that category. Okay, I mean, like, again, you mentioned it last week.
I said this last week. Yeah.
Yes.
He never will be
overall
because he's
pick.
not top.
Right.
Right.
But still, like, it's you never want to see a rookie get injured. You never want that to happen, but you have to let it play out before you're going to declare the pick a bust. I mean, injuries happen, and Ryan Pace may be to blame. Sure, I guess, for knowing that and still drafting him. But it was almost one of those situations where he fell that far, and for as high as his draft rank was, the injuries simply weren't enough to pass up. Like, I think that's what the situation, if you are going back into the mind of Ryan Pace on draft day, it was, this guy is so freaking talented. We are, it's unbelievable we're getting him at this point. It's a miracle we're getting him at this point. We have to take it. And you have to roll the dice. You have to roll the dice on the injuries, and that's what they did. They got unlucky. Maybe it pays off. So you have to wait and see. I'm not going to declare him a bust. I'm not going to declare the pick a bust. It's a wait and see game. But the question I have, I mean, this is again more of a doctor question that I don't know about. I don't know why he didn't just get surgery early on. I mean, if you knew, and I know they said we tried to rehab, we did everything we could, but if this injury really required surgery, most likely you would have known it required surgery the moment he was drafted. This was one of those things where, like, it's like Fernando Tatis in baseball right now. You know what's going on with his shoulder? He had a shoulder subluxation. They're rehabbing him. He wants to finish out the year, but he is going to need surgery regardless. And they know that, but they're pushing it off so he can finish the season. I'm sure that's what the Bears tried to do in this situation. They knew he's going to need surgery at some point. Maybe they wanted to wait till the end of this season, wanted to get him out there, but it's like, it feels like wasted time because he got 0 reps in training camp. He didn't get out on the playing field once. And you're like, we could have gotten him back maybe before week 8 if we started this process immediately after OTAs or immediately after he was drafted. So that's where I think it's kind of aggravating to Bears fans, is because we had no knowledge. We had nothing for, what is it now? 4, 5, 6, 7, even more than that, like 8 weeks of what's going on with his development, of him just, I guess, getting massages every day when we could have had the surgery done. We could have been talking about his recovery and his timetable for return, where it's unknown right now. So that's what I think is kind of, that just kind of pops in my mind. Like, maybe that should have happened earlier, but again, I'm not a physical therapist or doctor. I have no idea. So,
well, the aggravating part, like you said too, is it wasn't that he was getting treatment. He was practicing on the sidelines. Like, he was doing one-on-one drills with coaches. Granted, he wasn't in pads. He wasn't hitting other guys, but he was still jersey on. Granted, it was in shorts and no pads, but jersey on the sidelines with his coaches, putting in the work, like not the work, but putting in work. Right. And then, like you said, like, what was the point? If he was never going to see the field, if he was never going to hit guys, never put the pads on, then why do we waste all this time? And part of the reason it's so aggravating, like you said, is that Matt Nagy has been telling us for weeks since, camp opened, since rookie minicamp, right. Oh, Tevin, yeah, it's getting better. Like 5 days ago, I think it was, he said, oh, we're really optimistic. It looks like he's going to be back soon. And now here we are. He's got surgery and Jason Peters is here. So it's just, that's what's frustrating too, is just, and of course, coach speak and they're always looking on the positive side, but that's what's aggravating is, oh, you kept hearing positive. All right, he's getting closer, an inching closer, and we're hopeful he's going to play sometime this preseason. And now that's all out the window. And like you said, now you don't know if you're going to get him back at all. Whereas if you'd done this when it first popped up a month or 2 months ago, then you might have been able to get him back some point in the season. But you deal with the hand you're dealt at this point. I guess you should be thankful you were able to get an NFL starting, I guess not starting, but an NFL caliber lineman who has started in this league for a long time. Now you just got to kind of deal with it from there. And you just got to hope everyone stays healthy. I mean, James Daniels came back to practice today. I think Alex Bars might still be on the COVID list, but you're slowly getting these guys back. You still have 3-4 weeks till season opener, which is good, but it's just, I don't know. It's just like, and I've been saying it all offseason. Offensive line is just such an important position, especially considering who we're going to see at some point this season. It's just very scary. So it's just like, it's a very scary proposition to be like, all right, yeah, this 39-year-old washed offensive lineman is going to be protecting your franchise quarterback's blind side. But I digress.
Well, that's a good transition because let's look at the offensive line in preseason game 1. It was not that bad. Justin Fields sacked 0 times, had 3.8 seconds to throw, which was the longest of all rookie quarterbacks in the preseason, in the first week of preseason. The offensive line looked fine. Yes, people are going to come into here. If you're listening to this in the car, you're probably screaming in your car, he's playing against second stringers and third stringers. It doesn't matter. That's the take I keep hearing. But all right, he was playing with second and third string wide receivers and then tight ends and running backs. So that argument goes both ways. So I don't like, the offensive line held up fine. It held up fine. And you saw the amount of designed rollouts they had for him, the amount of times he was on the move, generating time on his own, even when the pocket was breaking down. Jake, I don't think, and I gave you the comparison earlier to last year and what they were able to do from an offensive scoring standpoint with Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think the offensive line issues are enough for me to say it's justifiable to sit Justin Fields for it. Like I really am not there. And I haven't been there since the inception of this conversation, but I just don't, I really don't think it's enough. And Jake, the thing is too, like you saw the difference in not just the pure athletic talent and the pure talent overall, right? Like it was evident and we're going to break that down in a second, but take a look at the play calling for a second. When you really watched it, what we saw from Andy Dalton in those two series was what I've seen for the past 5 years, was what I've seen, with Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. It's let's line it up here on third down and short. We're going to have everybody go 5 yards and curl back in, and we're going to run a slant route in the slot to whoever it may be. Coverage is good and complete, punt the ball away. Nothing was different. Nothing was creative. 2 series later comes out Justin Fields, and it is a whole different playbook. We're trying totally different things. The Miami Dolphins get left in the dust. There's not a player within 30 yards of Jesse James. They're designing things. Justin Fields is rolling out. He's running on his own. It was drastic. It was so evidently different. And if you're Matt Nagy, this is like, we have to do this now. And not only did he try those things, they worked, and he was extremely successful. I don't know what you make of those series from each of those players, but the difference and the disparity was great enough that he has to be the starter week 1. He just has to. I mean, I know, like, if you want for this moment right now, take away the offensive line issues, assume that it's good enough. In that case, he has to be the starter week 1. I know he does. He does. If the offensive line is just good enough, which it will be. I have faith that it will be.
So we'll talk about, the points you made about the play calling and the disparity in what you saw. I will admit that it was clear that there was a shift. As soon as, Justin Fields came off that sideline into the game, things changed. Like the play calling, how guys were lining up. Credit to Justin Fields for finding that broken play to Jesse James and getting the touchdown across his body. You haven't seen that in Chicago in a very long time, possibly ever. Also, things to consider with Justin Fields throws. His receivers didn't do him any favors a couple times. Javon Wims dropped a pass that down the sideline that I thought should have been caught. Somebody else, I think it was Rodney Adams or somebody.
Yes, he was.
One of the dropped one that could have been caught. That one was a little more 50-50 than the Javon Wims one, but still could have been caught. There were times, a couple throws, but those are the two most notable ones where those would have been big gains, maybe even touchdowns, and his receivers didn't help him out. There were a couple even across the middle that you could tell that the receivers were kind of like, whoa, like even the zip on the ball. Yeah, it was definitely different. And we talked about that on the last episode, that it's going to be interesting to see how it changes. And it definitely went from a more safe play calling to, all right, let's see what the kid can do. And that was evident as the game went on, and as the third and fourth stringers for the Dolphins came in, you could tell, like, all right, let's take some shots at these guys. Why not? We can. And so, yeah, Fields, I think, showed you everything that you wanted to see. A couple obviously rookie mistakes, couple rookie kinks to be worked out, but that's to be expected. Sure. I think you saw everything you wanted: the athleticism, the toughness, the ability to run, the arm, especially the zip on the ball, even the touch on the ball, the differentiation between being able to fire one in there and then float one where it needed to be. That was great. And his ability, I was even impressed with his ability to read plays and pick up broken plays from the offensive line and be like, all right, I got to get out of here. The fumble wasn't great, but it's preseason. You can afford to take chances like that. Screw it. Why not? So, yeah, should he be?
Come on.
So, like,
Come
but
on.
I've said this, like, should he be the starter? Probably
Yes.
yes. Like, that probably gives you the best chance to win.
Yes.
Do I think
Oh,
he's going to be, though? No, I still think they're going to be bullheaded in this commitment to Andy Dalton. And I still, like, I don't think I ever said, like, yeah, Andy Dalton is the better option. Justin Fields probably gives you your best chance to win. Well, my whole thing always, I don't want Aaron Donald to chew him up and spit him out. Yes. Do I think the Bears organization is just bullheaded enough that they're going to say, we made a commitment to Andy. We told Andy he was QB1. He's got the reins, blah, 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 blah. Like, yes, I absolutely believe that they are that stubborn because we've seen them be that stubborn before. We've seen them be that stubborn with Mitch Trubisky. We've seen them be that stubborn with Nick Foles. We've just seen it before. It's just time is a flat circle. It rolls over and over. But once Andy Dalton is down 21-3 or 21-6 at halftime of week 1, or they lose week 1, you know that immediately they're going to, and especially that's going to be true if the same thing happens this week and Justin Fields, you just see the play calling be that different. If the play calling is that drastically different again, like, I think Andy Dalton will get one shot. Like, I am firmer in the belief now that Andy Dalton will have one chance at this. And it might only be a half. It might be one half. And if it's close, they'll say, all right, Justin, you're in. If Andy Dalton's stinking it up. And then if you lose, you're going to be like, all right, well, like, it would be so Bears. It would be so Bears to start Andy Dalton, and they're down 23-6 at half. Justin Fields comes out of the tunnel for the second half. He's starting, and they lose like 26-23. And then they lose a very close game. And then, Justin Fields is the week 2 starter. That would just be so Bears. They'd be like, all right, well, Justin gives us the best. And they'll say, Justin gives us the best chance to win. And we'll be like, yeah, well, we knew that, but you decided, you know what I mean? Like, I think Justin gives you the best chance to win, but I just think they're so damn stubborn.
Okay, but see, it's down to stubbornness. But this is where I think they're not. Maybe they were with Mitch Trubisky and Mike Glennon. 1, Matt Nagy was not the coach at that time. 2, you're working with 2 totally different situations as far as not only the quarterback who would be the veteran and Andy Dalton and then the rookie, but if Matt Nagy was that eager to switch to Nick Foles in week 3 after Mitch Trubisky hadn't played that bad in the first 2 weeks.
That's different though.
No, it's not
Matt
different
Nagy though. Because Matt Nagy, he was out on Trubisky already. Before that game, Matt Nagy was, before the season started, Matt Nagy said, I can't stand this guy. This guy is not good. Like, I can't do this. And at the time, he thought he could win with Nick Foles. At the time. Clearly that proved to not be true. But there's a difference in that situation too.
So he may not be out on Andy Dalton, but is he in on Justin Fields the way he thought he was in on Nick Foles? Yes, he's more in on Justin Fields than he was in on Nick Foles. He's over the moon in on Justin Fields. You saw it again with the play calling. It's his brand new toy. And if the scenario you just described to me, first half, bring Justin Fields in the second half is a freaking nightmare scenario. It's the worst possible scenario. Oh, yeah. Because what? We're going to go after that 2 weeks later and say, oh, yeah, he sat a half of football. Oh, the development he gained after sitting a half of football. Watching Andy Dalton, wow, his career is going to be different forever because he sat one half. Like, at that rate, if we're talking about scenarios like that, and if Matt Nagy's sitting in bed in a few hours, running those scenarios through his mind, then he should just say, what the hell are we talking about? He just got to be the starter week 1. It doesn't freaking matter. Like, the difference, too, is, Jake, he is clearly prepared for the moment. Like, you saw it in preseason game 1. He's prepared for the moment. And there's 2 reasons why I believe that's the case. Number 1, you just saw it with the way he played and the numbers that he put up and the way he carved up that defense and all those factors. Number 2, it's the way he bounced back. He did not start that game well at all. I was a little bit worried after I wasn't really worried, but I was like, okay, I was waiting, right? We were waiting to see.
You were expecting more.
Our prize position. You're expecting more. But what could have happened is what you saw in the first 2 series could have continued for the next 4 series. And we'd be having different conversations right now. Mm-hmm. But he did not allow that to happen. He bounced back. He always bounces back and rises to the occasion. I mean, this happened every single time in college, aside from 2 games. And even in those 2, even in the game where he threw 3 interceptions against Indiana, he still threw like 5 touchdowns. He kept bouncing back. He kept throwing touchdowns. If he makes a mistake, which he will as a rookie, it will happen. It is not going to happen twice. It will not continue. That's rare for a quarterback. And that's why I think That's one of the main reasons he is equipped to starting week 1. And before me saying that, I've said that before, has all been talk, but now we have the pure evidence in a game situation that he is resilient enough to bounce back. So that's why that's partially one of the main reasons why I think he's ready. And let's just get away from Dalton versus Fields and just talk about kind of the things we saw from him. Because Jake mentioned it was the speed, it was the touch, it was everything we had hoped it was there, and basically in that second half after those first few series. But the number one thing I want to talk about is the speed and the running ability. And it wasn't the touchdown, but it was the 21-yard scramble. 20.4 miles per hour on the 20-yard scramble. Fastest by any Bears player on a touch in the last 2 seasons. On a touch, preseason and regular season. Faster than Dave Montgomery. Faster than Cordell Patterson. Faster than Tariq Cohen. On a 21-yard scramble. And if you remember that clip, which a lot of people I'm sure right now are replaying it in their mind, did not look like he was moving that fast. But he ran the fastest of any Bears player in the last 2 seasons, the second fastest of any player in all of preseason week 1. This guy just brings a whole new element. It's like it's comparable to Lamar Jackson. Like I'm sorry, but it really is. Like it's closer to Lamar Jackson. Like from a running ability standpoint, let's say it's closer to Lamar Jackson. Like if there's a spectrum, and on one of the spectrum is Lamar Jackson, the other one is like a Josh Allen. Maybe I guess that's pretty fair. He is a heck of a lot closer to a Lamar Jackson than he is a Josh Allen. Like he is in the he is in the upper echelon of like if it's a tier system. It's tier 1 Lamar Jackson, then it's tier 2 Kyler Murray and Justin Fields. That's the way I would put it right now. Like he is up there.
You're putting Josh Allen in a bottom tier?
Not in a bottom tier. He's like tier 4 or something. I'm not saying he's the bottom of the spectrum. No. I know. I made that spectrum weird, but I'm just saying like he's at one end of the spectrum in this situation. Like in reality, among all NFL quarterbacks, he's like probably 7th, 8th, right? But I'm saying like he's closer to Lamar Jackson than he is to Josh Allen. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, and that's saying something because he's incredibly shifty. He's incredibly fast. He can create plays. You saw it on the rushing touchdown, the 21-yard scramble. It is an element where I think about it's him at quarterback. It's Marquise Goodwin at wide receiver. It's Tariq Cohen at running back. It's maybe Damian Williams at some point. It's Darnell Mooney. And if I'm an NFL team, I'm saying, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to guard this many fast players on one offense? What the heck? This is what San Francisco did. I mean, not really, but because they were missing the quarterback, but that's what they did. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs do. Built around speed players, and then you add a fast quarterback to that? I don't know how the hell teams are going to stop it. That just got me excited.
I mean, comparing them
that's not crazy to compare to Lamar Jackson. It is not crazy to compare to Lamar Jackson or in tier 2. It's not crazy at all. Tell me how it's crazy. I mean,
it's not crazy. I just think it's lofty.
It's not
but
lofty.
through one preseason game.
It's
like
not
I
lofty.
just think I think it's lofty praise.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just think and I get it. Like obviously
no. Well, go ahead.
I mean, I'm just like I know we're excited, and I'm very excited about Justin Fields as well. Like I'm paused through a half total of preseason work. I paused to be like, yeah, he's like an MVP of the league.
No, I didn't say that.
I pause to do that.
I'm talking about his pure running ability when I'm talking about
but still,
running ability.
I mean, Lamar Jackson through 2 full seasons of football has over 3,000 yards rushing. Like he's an elite of the league. Like even Kyler Murray is a very gifted elite runner as an NFL quarterback. Like I'm just saying, and again, I get it. It's easy to get excited, and we're very excited about Justin Fields, but it's like I don't want to say, yeah, that's Kyler Murray. I don't even want to say, yeah, that's Russell Wilson running wise. Like let's just
that's Russell Wilson.
Relax. I mean, let's just let Justin Fields be Justin Fields, and we can be excited about his rushing ability. But like let's let the kid cook, and then we'll go from there. Like a week by week scenario, and then we can let him build up his own brand before we're comparing him to Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or whoever you want.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about like running ability versus throwing ability is like a lot of the times the verdict is like the jury's out on throwing ability until you kind of see it. Like you need more like evidence to see if that really comes to fruition the way it was in college. But running ability is something that a quarterback has and that they should have based on what they did in college. Like that is something that's pretty consistent from their college to NFL game. And that's why I'm putting those expectations up there, is not because I saw it only in a half of football. It's because I saw it 2 years at Ohio State. I know what he can do. He already translated into the first half of preseason. He's going to translate it into the regular season as well. Like, it is going to happen. So that's why I'm not being unrealistic. I'm telling you that his running ability is so special, and it's we've seen it enough before that I know it is going to be a huge part of his game, and it's going to be in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks immediately when he's a rookie. So I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I know what you mean. Like, let's not get carried away, but it's really not a crazy thing to say. I mean, I don't know. What did you like? What did you like the most out of him on Saturday? What was the thing that kind of stood out for you? Was it the running ability? Was it the throwing? What was it?
I mean, it was the throwing. I mean, obviously, we know he's an athlete. We know he can run, but it was the throwing, just as far as, because we've been hearing about it and, articles you read and tweets you read that, yeah, I mean, the kid, you've been reading, yeah, he's got a lot of zip on the ball. Like, he can fire it in there. But then also you saw the touch too, and being able to lead a receiver, which God knows over the last 2-3 years, we haven't seen a quarterback in a Chicago Bears uniform lead a receiver very well or all that often. Mm-hmm. And Justin Fields is doing it in preseason week 1. So it's nice that he exhibited that range, the short range to the medium range to the long range. Like, they really allowed him to kind of show at least a little bit every facet of his arm, arm strength, and that's good because we know what Mitch Trubisky's limitations were as a thrower. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we know what Nick Foles' limitations are. So it's nice to see that from Justin Fields, where this was hyped and this was hyped and this was hyped, that he could, have these different ball speeds and this different ball placement. So it's nice to see him kind of deliver on those. Granted, again, this is all through about a half of preseason football, but I mean, just having the ability to do that is refreshing to see, because that's just that raw talent, that raw ability, like we've talked about in previous weeks, that you can work with that. And then you can work, as long as the raw talent is there, then we'll go from there and we'll do those building blocks. So for me, it was absolutely the throwing, because we knew he was an athlete, we knew he could run, and now the throwing is what's going to be most important anyway. Yes,
that is extremely true. And I think one of the things that stood out to me too was just how calm and collected he was. And like, you felt mm-hmm. that through the television. Like, even when he was struggling, it was still calm. It was cool. It was, we're going to get through this. And that's why you heard him say in the post-game press conference, the game felt slower for him, slower than he had expected it to be. And yes, everyone's going to say, well, he's going against up the 2s and the 3s. And once you see Aaron Donald, it's not going to be so slow. Yeah, you're right. But still, like, it's still rare to hear a rookie say
faster than practice.
It's fat. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to get a lot faster, but to still hear him say that is a testament to just how calm he is in those moments and at the helm. I mean, you would like, when I say I feel it, like, I truly mean that. When I watched Mitch Trubisky, I felt anxious watching the television, like because he gave off that. Did he not give off that vibe when he was Like, I was just chilling watching Justin Fields. I was when
Mitch Trubisky ran, it was for his life.
Yes. I was like, oh my God. Like, every time, when the quarterback throws the football and the camera pans, right? The camera pans the football, and there's a brief second where the ball is in the air and you can't see the quarterback or the receiver. And you're like, this may be a 50-yard touchdown. It may be the worst throw of all time, and it may be an interception. Like, I don't feel that way with the camera pans now when Justin Fields throws it. So thanks, Justin Fields, for making our viewing experience just a little bit easier. But yeah, like you said, lots of very good balls. There was the 2 drops. There was some really solid coverage on the defensive side for the Dolphins. I think he would say he had 3 missed throws out of 20, because there's that one ball. The 3 missed throws were the one ball that was tipped at the line of scrimmage. That was just, a bad read. The throw where he was facing some pressure, he kind of threw it off his back foot, and it ended up being tipped and almost intercepted. But actually, Justin James fell on that play. Before the ball was tipped, he kind of slipped on his route, and I don't know how much of an effect that had. And then that one that jump he threw at Javon Wims was kind of just, that was incompletion. Javon Wims might have been able to catch that, but it was also kind of just giving your receiver an opportunity to make a play with the time winding down in the end of the half. And that's the other thing too, Jake, that 2-minute drill was really good to get down the field and get that field goal that Kyra Sanders ended up making, 53 yards? That was a heck of a field goal. 53. That's impressive to get down the field that quickly, be calm. The throws weren't that difficult, but still to have the knowledge that, all right, we're going to get to Damian Williams, who's going to get out of bounds. I just liked his composure there in the 2-minute drill. That was impressive.
No, it was. And like you said, that goes back to the not feeling the franticness through the TV. Like just, and granted, that's also preseason being, there's not a lot on the line. But yeah, I mean, it was impressive. Like you said, the one where his receiver fell down, like in the replay, it kind of looked like if your receiver was up right there, it might've been a catch, but yeah, I mean, he didn't make any horrific, terrible reads or like horribly overthrow or underthrow anyone, which is great. He was leading his receivers pretty well. He was hitting his spots, which is good. But also, I mean, Justin Fields to me wasn't even the standout on offense of that preseason game. Damian Williams was everything that we've talked about and that we've wanted as far as being a capable guy, the burst he showed, being able to, there was one run, and I forget exactly when it was, but he hit the line and he bounced off, and then he just kept going sideways then to find another opening. He only got like 3 yards, but it was just like having a guy that's capable of that is just to bounce off. Oh crap, there's nothing there. Okay, let me find somewhere else to go. As opposed to a Cordero Patterson or Ryan Hall who's like, screw it, I'm going straight. Like it's nice to have that guy, and Damian Williams exhibited a little bit of receiving ability. He showed the ability to go inside, outside. Like it was good to know, because I mean, we've been hyping up Damian Williams on this show for weeks and weeks and weeks, but now to see it in game action. David Montgomery went out after one play after he got hurt his ankle or something. He's fine, but like he tweaked his ankle and they said, all right, you're done. We can't afford to lose you. And Damian Williams went in and he handled a lot of work, and he was everything that we've wanted, everything you want to see. I think, like we've said on this show before, I think that the Bears got a steal to have him as their running back too. And I think you're going to see a heavy dose of him definitely this week and probably going forward in the regular season as well.
Very heavy dose. I mean, Tariq Cohen's still in shorts. And I think the reason, I think we would be a lot more worried about that on this show if Damian Williams wasn't on the team. We would be talking a lot more about the fact that Tariq Cohen's in shorts at practice every day if we didn't have a guy who's as capable as Damian Williams. I mean, you talked about him bouncing off tackles and stuff too, but there are also times like on a lot of the outside zone plays where you look at David Montgomery in pretty much most running situations is he's a very patient runner. He kind of diagnoses what's in front of him and then decides what he's going to do after that, right? Sort of Le'Veon Bell-esque when you look at his patience at the line. Damian Williams was a little bit more attacking with his speed, but it also felt more calculated than just a Cordero Patterson attack type. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you could see him attacking the hole that was there, but it wasn't just, he knew where to run. He knew where he was going. He knew the right place to run given what was going on the offensive line and the holes that they were creating, and he was attacking it, and the speed looked great. So that's where like I saw him attack it, but it was different from what we've seen in the past from like a Cordero Patterson and the guys who have been branded as just, head down, nose down, we're going to run to the spot type runners. So that was extremely encouraging. And this is why I said it last week, Jake. I think he could be just as, if not more productive than Tariq Cohen. Like, and that's no shade to Tariq Cohen, but it's just the fact that he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and he's proving it now that he belongs and that he deserves those opportunities. Those are only going to increase. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that was certainly one of the top things that popped out for me. To the defensive side of the ball, who stood out for you? Because I have two names in mind, and I think we both.
I think we're gonna have the same one. Alec Ogletree plays like a man hell, dude. With his back is on fire. We heard as soon as he was signed, we heard that Alec Ogletree, he's been playing so great. He's been playing awesome. He's got 6 interceptions in 5 days. Holy crap. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, of course, in practice and against Nick Foles, yeah, we'll hear that. And, it's training camp. Of course, you're going to get guys hyped up. But he was everywhere. Like legitimately, he got burned on the one Mike Gesicki long reception that went for like 50 yards. That's going to happen. Whatever. The man's been here 2 weeks. Also, Mike Gesicki's pretty damn good. So, but Alec Ogletree, he's your top backup linebacker now. Like, he was listed as, I think, ILB 3 or something behind Roquan and Christian Jones and Danny. Yeah. He was listed as like the 5th linebacker or something. Like, he's definitely the top backup behind Danny and Roquan now, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if he keeps this up. Like, he was everywhere making tackles and coverage. He was great. And Alec Ogletree was everything that was advertised in those week of training camp even.
Yeah, which was kind of like sometimes you'll see the training camp heroes, Jake, right? Like the Tyler Gentry, the Tanner Gentrys of the world. They'll show up in training camp, Tyler Gentry, and then they'll come to the preseason games, and it's like, you know, it was just a fluke, maybe. But no, it was everything as advertised. His run defense was incredible, like you mentioned. I mean, he got after it. I think he had a few tackles for loss, and then it was like everyone's going to go back to that 50-yard play. Well, that's the biggest mismatch in all of football: linebacker versus tight end one-on-one. The tight end should win that 10 out of 10 times. That happens. Yeah. You don't want that to happen. Maybe it was a schematic issue. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Sean Desai about that. But you know, I'm not going to knock him in his evaluation too much because of that one play. So Alec Ogletree, 10 out of 10, stock going up on him. Another guy who I think stock is going up is Deon Bush. He didn't get that interception. That was DeAndre Houston-Carson who got the interception, but Deon Bush was ball hawking and making plays all over the field. And this is, you know, we might as well be the Deon Bush fan club because we've had Josh Woods and Clifton Duck say it. I keep bringing it up that they said it, but this guy is poised to be a good player when given the opportunities. And every time he goes in the game, whether it's preseason or regular season, he's out there and he's aggressive and he's making plays. And that's what I like about him is he's going after the ball. You saw him diving for plays, tipping balls away, getting after it, you know, for tackles when it's one-on-one in the secondary, when in the flat. Like I really, really liked what Deon Bush brought. And I think you're going to, like I mentioned before, you're going to start to see more dime packages where Deon Bush is being brought in, I think. And maybe you'll even see a lot of different series where the rotation between Deshaun Gibson and Deon Bush is greater than what we've seen in the past, meaning last year. You know, maybe Deon Bush will get more reps there. We haven't heard too much about Deshaun Gibson, have we? I mean, it hasn't really been a lot, but I don't know if he's out with an injury. I'd have to check on that. That might be why we haven't heard so much. But I really liked what I saw out of Deon Bush, and that's a player we've been talking about for years. And I think this year might finally be the time where if he's given the correct opportunities, we really could be talking about him a lot more.
Yeah, Deon Bush, like you said, is somebody that we've talked about a lot. And if he's good, great, awesome. Like that's perfect. I mean, I think he's still on a rookie deal. If not, he's like super cheap still. So yeah, I mean, the more guys that you can have, the better that can play like that, obviously. But I actually want to talk about one of the rookies in the defensive class on one specific play. Khyiris Tonga. I mean, on that goal line stand, like he was, and the broadcast mentioned him. They're like, that was all because of Tonga getting in there and Ogletree was able to bust through the hole that Tonga had created. That's perfect. I mean, he was a 7th round pick, but we heard how big he is, how strong he is. And at defensive tackle, at nose tackle, even, like that's a really important position. And to make a play like that on the goal line stand when it was still the Dolphins' first team offense for the most part, like that was just a splash play to me that I think is going to stick with me. And as long as he plays well, I mean, you might see him get some time going forward. So I would love to see him continue to get time, especially, I mean, anytime you can get a surprise rookie, especially from the 7th round to contribute, I mean, you're always going to take that 10 out of 10. So he was my other kind of standout guy. But let's talk about this upcoming week and preseason week 2. We're probably going to see the most of the starters this week, right? I doubt most, if any of them are going to play in the last game in preseason week 3. So probably going to see a lot of them. Hopefully you see Allen Robinson. Hopefully you see a lot of Roquan Smith, those guys, some of the guys coming off injured list, hopefully too. Obviously a healthy dose of Justin Fields is positive, but coming into the week, it is Wednesday, and buddy, do we have some quotes that we need to get to because things were said and oh my, that's
Jarrell, let's bring it up. Andy Dalton said something today, and I think we're gonna have an interesting conversation about this. So let's let this clip run here from Andy Dalton, today's press conference.
Do I want the fans behind me and this team and all that kind of stuff? Yes. Do I want them behind Justin? Absolutely, I do. But that's not my focus. I can't focus on all that right now. Like I've said before, Justin's going to have his time, and Justin's going to have a great career. But right now, it's my time, and so my focus is on being the best player I can be for this team and do everything I can to help this team win.
It's his time, Jake. It's his time. Oh boy. And look, I can't knock Andy Dalton for what he said in the earlier parts of the quote. He said what he should have said. You know, I would love to have the say behind me. You know, everything he said before that was great. But it's my time. Like, I don't know, man. That just didn't rub with me the right way. It wasn't like a blow to Justin Fields. Like, it wasn't a blow to him, but it was like, it's just not your time. Like, it's really not. Like, it's just really not right now, I don't think.
All right, so I'm gonna spin this. I'm gonna spin this.
Okay.
I think he said everything. Everything in that quote, I think, is what you want to hear. What's he gonna? Do you want him to go out and be like, "Yeah, screw Justin.
Well,
like this is my,"
no,
or do you want him to say
no.
like, "Oh darn, like yeah, this is Justin's team." Like everything, like no winner of this quarterback battle has been, quote unquote, declared yet. I mean, this is still an open competition for all we know. No, we can sit here and pound the table for Justin Fields to start week 1 as much as we want. There's not been a named starter. So Andy Dalton, I give him credit for saying, yeah, this is my time. I'm the guy. Wow. Even though, we can laugh and snicker like, yeah, dude, you're not the guy. You're here for a year on a 1-year deal for a reason. Justin Fields is clearly the guy. We all know that. Andy Dalton's not an idiot. He said later that, yeah, Justin Fields is going to have a long and fruitful career, and I wish him the best. Like, he knows the situation, but I think it's the right move by him. I don't knock him at all for being like, yeah, like this is like, I got this. Like, yeah, I don't mind having a little confidence in yourself. Like, especially if you think you deserve to be starting or you still think you have a little left in the tank to be starting. I'd much rather prefer that than, Justin should be starting, probably not me. Like, that's fine. I'm totally, and we have to go back to, something that we said in the beginning, as soon as Andy Dalton was like, be nice to Andy Dalton. There's nothing, it's not like he said anything wrong. It's not like he said, screw Justin Fields, get him out of here. Like, he was very complimentary of Justin. He was very complimentary of you guys, the fans, us, the fans. Like, he didn't say anything wrong. Be nice to Andy. Like, he said what I would expect any starting NFL or starting caliber NFL quarterback to say in that situation. I don't think he said anything outlandish. I think it was exactly what I think it's exactly what you would hear and 49ers camp out of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it's exactly what you would hear out of New England with Cam. Like, Cam Newton literally today was like, yeah, Mac Jones is going to prep hit the best he can. I'm going to prep the best I can. We haven't named a starter yet. Nobody's been named. So we're going to go out there and compete. Like, that's been, I don't know. Like, I get why it looks so funny because he said it's my time and everyone wants Justin Fields and everyone knows Justin Fields is the better quarterback, but he didn't say anything crazy. Like, just if you sit and think about it for more than 3 seconds before you fire off the tweet, it makes sense. What he said makes sense. Like, think about it for more than 3 seconds.
Yes.
And that's not you. I'm just saying in general.
No.
People.
No, it was me because I made a funny response to that. But it was like, no, you're right. You're right. Like, I don't feel any animosity towards him for saying that. Like, it's like, I do have respect for him that he, was able to kind of, I guess, like you said, have confidence. It was just, I think the timing, it's just the timing is funny of it. Like, if he had said this, if he said it a week ago, before the preseason game, I'd be like, okay, like, maybe it is your time. Right. But like right now, when everything is trending up with Justin Fields and things, I guess, sort of seem to be trending down. Maybe not. Well, and
it's also because all this weekend. It's because all this week in practice, anything, the only things we heard about Andy Dalton from practice are, Andy Dalton threw an interception today. Those were like, Andy Dalton was not getting any help from any of the media. Like, the only tweets you saw were, Andy Dalton threw another pick. Justin Fields is practicing with the ones today. Like, the media, ourselves included, we're not doing him any favors. So that's part of it too. Like, we're not seeing the positives nearly as much as we are from Justin Fields.
That is so true.
They're not getting nearly as much recognition. So, and I'm sure that's frustrating. I'm sure that's like, all right, yeah, and I'm sure he feels Justin Fields breathing down his neck. He knows he's here on a 1-year contract, but at the end of the day, he's a competitor. He's a guy that's like, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to work my ass off, and I'm try and start and win as many games for the Chicago Bears as possible. I respect that. That's what I want in a quarterback. Sure. So, yes. Say it again. Andy Dalton, talk your shit, because I get it. You have gripes. He has legitimate gripes. Like, I get it.
Yeah, no, maybe he does. I don't know, but I will say too, Allen Robinson went on the mic and said that he has a great connection with Andy Dalton, said some good things about him. I thought that was cool to hear and stuff. But as we talk about going back to this kind of preview for preseason game 2 now, and we talk about things trending up for Justin Fields and kind of staying the same for Andy Dalton and kind of the evaluations of both players. This is going to be extremely important. Count the number of series that each quarterback plays, because if it is anywhere close to even, we have a full on, because there are still people, Jake included, even me sometimes, a little bit skeptical that Matt Nagy is truly changing his mind. I want to believe that. I want that to be the case. Sometimes I am skeptical that he's really, changing his mind about that quarterback competition. But if you see the same amount of series from both players, I think then you're going to start to say, okay, that is a fair and equal evaluation. Last week, it was 2 series for Andy Dalton. He's clearly the starter. It was 6 or 7. I think the final was 7, maybe 8 series for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So I think 7 series. Like, obviously, at that time, it was, and Dalton's a starter. We want to give Justin Fields time. If you start to see it be 5-5, 4-4 between both players on Saturday, it's going to be like, okay, we need the same sample size from each player, and we need to compare that between both of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Matt Nagy open up the playbook for Andy Dalton a little bit and see if this is,
sure,
we're going to try it out.
Try some of those things, yeah.
Yeah, try some of those things, and it's going to be very indicative if they fail, because those things had worked for Justin Fields, and maybe they work again on Saturday, maybe they don't. But if they do, that's why I think that's going to be very telling. I might be wrong in my assumption about that, but I just think if they get the same amount of series, what it means is it is a more equal evaluation than it was the week past between who's going to be the starter.
I would even say, like, if Andy gets 6 and Justin gets 4, because
that'd be a lot.
Because game situation also is going to dictate things too. Like, we know this. Like, if Andy Dalton goes 3 and out and Justin Fields, Damian Williams gives up a fumble or something like that, that's going to dictate the number as well. It's things that you can't really, some of it's going to be outside of their control. But generally, I will agree with you, especially with Justin Fields practicing with the ones this week for the most part. I think
coincidence?
Right. Definitely not a coincidence given how he played, given the situation / the state of the Bears. I think it's going to be something to watch for sure. And I mean, granted, people were going to watch it anyway, but and by watch it, I mean watch the drive count and the series count, obviously the snap count. But I think it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to be interested to see the game situation in which Justin Fields comes into as well. Like, who is out there for me? Who's going to be out there when Justin Fields comes in? Like, is Darnell Mooney going to be out there? Allen Robinson, if he plays, is he going to be out there? Which offensive linemen are going to be out there? Like, that's going to be telling to me as well, because, all right, Andy Dalton might get 5 series and Justin Fields might only get 3, but Justin Fields drives, or the defense might give up some long drives to the opposing offense, and then Justin Fields just doesn't have time because then halftime comes or something like that. But who was out there? Okay, were most of the starters out there? Was it half and half? How was it split up? So that's going to be something to keep track of too. So, of course, performance is going to be a part of that as well. But
yeah,
I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot because, like I said, the last game of the preseason, week 3, I don't think you're going to see a lot, if any, of these guys as it is. Like, I mean, for sure, you're not going to see like Jimmy Graham. You're not going to see Allen Robinson and those last games, those vets. So, I mean, we're going to learn a lot, and then we're going to learn a lot from the post-game press conference. We're going to learn a lot from the week of practice following that. And we're going to see. Like I said, Justin Fields clearly gives you the best chance to win. And now we're going to get a peek into, like you said, the playbook, what kind of plays they're calling. So it's going to be interesting. But also, I mean, let's not forget the defense. Like, there's a whole other half of this team. Like, is Alec Ogletree still playing well? Like, is the defensive line still playing well? How does Thomas Graham and Kendall Vilder, these guys look? That's like, of course, we're all in like Justin Fields mania and the offense hype. Right. And of course, like, offense is generally more exciting to watch than defense anyway. But this is a Bears Nation podcast. We try to give you as much insight as we can. The defense does exist, and there are things to watch on the defense as well, specifically the secondary. Jalen Johnson played really well against the Dolphins, I thought. Yep. He continues to ascend as a top-tier corner in this league. But, I mean, who are we kidding? Like, it's going to be Justin Fields versus Andy Dalton watch, and that's all anybody's going to tweet about or talk about. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it right after. But we're going to get a lot of insight. I think you're going to see the most with preseason game 2, with the season 3 weeks away. This is the most insight you're going to get into this team, especially on the offensive side, coming up on Saturday again.
You are absolutely right. And before I talk about the defense, and one other thing too, before I wrap up, I think if Justin Fields gets any reps with the ones, the QB competition's over. I mean, I think if he gets any repetitions with the ones, that is telling enough to say that he's going to be the starter, assuming he performs well. I truly think that. I mean, if they threw him out there, if they're willing to throw him out there with the ones,
so like if it's all twos and Darnell Mooney's out there, it's over.
No. It has to be like the full starting lineup.
The full squad. Okay.
I'm not saying just one player because it
It
has to be
at
like.
What point do you draw that line? I guess is my question. Is it just got to be 55-45 ones? Does it have to be 60-40? Like
It doesn't
your
have
line
to be.
here?
It doesn't have to be a line. I think you'll just kind of know. Like it's a major. It's still. It's what Andy Dalton worked with. How about that? It's what Andy Dalton worked with. I think if you see him playing with the same players that Andy Dalton worked with, a majority of them, let's say a majority of them being ones.
Okay.
I think like that at that point, Matt Nagy's lost his patience. It's all good. But one other thing, takeaways. That was huge in preseason game 1. They had 2 takeaways. Takeaway bucket is amazing. I absolutely love that. Phenomenal.
I hope
Let's
they
see more
use it in the
takeaways in
regular
game
season.
2. And they will. Oh, they will. Because
That'd be
that's
awesome.
just I think I really do think a team feeds off of that. As little as it may seem, I really think that's something that kind of just keeps the energy going on the sideline. But Jake, someone comes to town on Saturday, and it is going to be funny. Mitch Trubisky.
That's an away game.
No, it's not. Bills versus Bears this week. That's what it is. Unless I'm high off my mind. It is Bills versus Bears on Saturday. And
you're right. Why did I think that was away?
Mitch Trubisky comes to town. It is just like it's just going to be funny to see. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. I'm going to be on my way to school, so I'll be watching it. But it's going to be funny to see the way the fans react. I don't know what's going to happen.
They're going to boo the hell out. They're going to boo him to hell, especially after what he said. After what he said,
that is true.
A couple days ago.
Him to hell. I think you're right.
Yeah. They're going to boo the crap out of him.
I think they get an interception off him.
Yes, I don't think it would have been as. I don't think it would have been as bad if he had just said nothing. But now that he like kind of took a shot at the organization and the city, they're definitely gonna. I think he was gonna get booed regardless too. But now that he said what he said, I think maybe it might have been a smart move by him to just kind of lean into it and say, "All right, I might as well give them something to boo me for." I think that might have been a smart move by him if that's what happened. But
yeah.
Anyway, we got to wrap. So we'll be back next week. We'll talk about preseason game 2, Justin Fields, all the competitions. We know you guys want to talk about it. We want to talk about it. So we'll be here, break down all the competitions, all the results, all the stats, and where we are heading for the regular season. So for myself, for Kevin, thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. We appreciate all of you. We'll be back next week. Bears Nation podcast, as always, bear down.
Bear down.